So today we're going to be doing, it's a sunflower, a rainbow sunflower. And then we're going to make a cute little center with some nautical jute rope. So what we're going to do first is for all of the petals that we're going to be using today, we're going to be using the Deco Mesh. It's the horizontal wide stripe. And we're going to be using the red, the orange, the yellow, the green. There's a navy blue or a royal blue. There's a purple, it's the Dean Michael petal. Okay, so we're going to be doing 9 petals of each color. Okay, so we'll have 9 of each color of the Dean Michael petal. And I'm going to show you how to fold that in just a moment, but I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of what the setup of your board is going to look like. So I try to use some color coordinated zip ties here so you could kind of see where the placements are. Okay, so we're going to be using a large board, and we're going to be using on the, not the very last row, but the second row in, we're going to be using every regular hole. Okay, and I added colored zip ties just so that you would know what color is going to be going where. Okay, you don't have to do that. You could take a screenshot of this, and then this way you'll have it if you're going to design it yourself. Okay. Now on the third row, you're going to be using every shared hole. Okay, you're not using the regular holes, you're using every shared hole. And again, I'm putting the colors there just so you can see where the colors are going to be placed, and we'll talk as I place each color as well. And then on row 4, you're using both the shared holes and the regular holes. Okay, so I'm going to just flip it over to the back for just a moment so you just can kind of see what that looks like. Okay, this is what your back is going to look like. So we're using row 2, row 3, and row 4. Okay, nothing on 1, nothing on 5. And then we will be using these 2 center holes when we do our center accent piece. Okay. So what I did, and I can kind of leave this up there, but I just have my own board made, and we can kind of reference the colors, you know, as we go. So to make the petal folds, I just used the orange. I folded all the other petals so you don't have to watch me making tons of petals here. Let me put this aside for a moment. So the Dean Michael petal is a pretty easy petal. You're going to be cutting your mesh into squares. Okay, so sometimes your mesh is a 10-inch and sometimes it's 10.5 depending on the type of mesh. If you use fabric mesh, it could be different. So just make sure you're cutting to a square. You're going to have your curl side is up, and you're going to have your finished factory edge up here and down here. So what we're going to do is just kind of give that a little turn so our point is up here. So we have our finished edge upper left, finished edge lower right. You're going to take your top corner and you're going to bring it down to your bottom corner. Okay. And I use clips just to kind of help keep everything in place. And I just kind of put a little clip on that tip there. And then you just kind of, I turn it around. It's just easier for me, but you just line up your edges. Okay. I'm not worried so much about down here because we're going to be folding that. And I'm going to put a little clip there just to hold those in place. And the same over here. I'm going to line up the edges as best as I can. Okay, so that they're even one on top of the other, and put another clip there as well. Okay, so that's what the beginning of your petal fold is going to look like. Then we're going to turn it so our point is facing to the left. Okay, and we're going to kind of give it a little stretch in the middle here because we want to find our central portion. And we're going to just give it a squeeze. Okay, so now this is what we're going to have. And then we're going to take our fingers and we're going to walk this end in and then this end in. So we're going to do 1 scrunch in, 2 scrunches in, and then we're going to do a 3rd scrunch. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to do 1 scrunch, 2 scrunches, and then 3 scrunches. And then this is what we have at the moment. Then what you're going to do is just fold those little pieces underneath, and then I just place them on the mat just to kind of help me hold them in place. And then I'm going to take an elastic And I'm just going to put an elastic around this little nub here. Okay. So that is what your petal is going to look like. And then you can just kind of take your clips off and just kind of give it like a little stretch there, right towards the bottom. Okay. And that's what your petal is going to look like. And we're basically, like I said, we're doing 9 of these exact petals for every color that we have for our rainbow sunflower. So I'm just going to do that 2 more times because these are just the last 2 that I needed folded. And then we'll be all set. We can actually start our placement. And then we'll start, I'll show you how to make the centerpiece. So again, 10 by 10, curl side up, factory edge upper left, factory edge lower right. You're going to take the top point to the bottom point and just kind of flatten it down a little bit. And then I just put a little clip there and I just flip it around. And then I'm just lining up my edges here. And like I said, you can get them, just get them as close as you can. Just like that. So we're kind of starting with our triangle there. All right, so I'm going to turn it to the left. We're going to find that center point and just give it a squeeze like that. And you can do, if you want to have nice even scrunches, if you have a mat, a measuring mat, you can kind of use your lines for your scrunches. So I'm going to go up 2 lines, which is 2 inches, and just do my first scrunch, and then go right back to that same line and do my scrunches. And the same thing down here. And it's 3 scrunches on each side. Okay. And that's what it's going to look like. You're going to flip your little edges down and then just put an elastic on that. And you can pre-make all of your petals ahead of time, which is nice. And then just put them aside till you're ready to do your project. Elastics that I'm referring to, you can get them from Amazon. They come like in 1,000. They're like these little hair elastics. I'm not sure if you could see it that well on there, but they're really, really tiny, but they're good to just put them around the little nubs. Okay, so I'm just going to move this up just so you can see where the placements are. Okay, move it out of the way. All right, so we are going to start. Okay, this is where our hanger is up here. We are starting on row 2, right on the number 2. Okay, and the first color we're going to put there is red. I'm trying to like do it so you can kind of see it. So all you're going to do is take your nub that you did and you're going to put it right in there, just like that. Okay. Then what we're going to do I am going to do a purple next, and that's going to go right over top of your red one. Okay, so as you can see up here, we have our red, we have our purple. Our next color is going to be blue. So if you prep everything ahead of time, it's really just placing the petals in, and it's a very easy and quick design to do. Okay, so now we have our blue. Okay, so next is going to be green. And then once we do the pattern, we're following that pattern all the way around. Okay, so we have our red, our purple, our blue. We're going to put our green. And this second row here is all the regular holes only. We're not using any of the shared holes. Okay. Our next one is going to be yellow. Okay. And then our next one we have is orange. So that completes the first cycle of all the colors that we used. And now basically what we're going to be doing, snip there, is we're going to start that same rotation again down here. So we're going to start with a red again. And this is overlapping the one prior to it. Okay. So you want to kind of go in the same direction because you don't want like one over, one under. So just kind of go whatever direction you start in. If you go to the left, that's fine. Just continue going to the left all the way around. So we have our red, and then we're going to add our purple. Like I said, this is just an easy, fun one to do. It's colorful. And we're going to do a blue. Okay, like this. And then we're going to do our green. I'm just going to kind of turn it a little bit as I go here. It's easier to do the zip ties. And then we have our yellow. And then we have our orange. And you can do this pattern in any colors that you want. You don't have to use these colors, but you could use this swirl type design and use a combination of colors, anything that you want. So now we have our second pattern there. We're going to start back with our red. And then we got our purple. And then we have our blue. And then we're going to actually be ending with our green, because that's all the holes we have, folks. All right. So when you get here, you can see now that this one's going over top of that red one, which is where we started. So we're just going to kind of tuck that one underneath it so that they're all laying correctly. Okay. So I'm going to turn this to where we started. So this is our top right here. Okay. So when I went to place this last one, it was over top of that, and we don't want that. So you just take that and you just tuck it underneath there, just like that. Okay. So that's the start of it. We're going to just cut all of our zip ties. Okay. This is a zip tie gun. You can use, if you have little clippers, you can use the little clippers. And like I said, in the description, I hope it's there. I'll double check. I'm always like bad at putting the supplies up there. So I try to actually find the links for you. So all you had to do is click the link and it'll take you right to the page where that product is. So hopefully that'll help y'all. Okay, so now we look at our pattern again. So here's our red. So remember, on this third row here, we're not using the sheared holes. So it's not going to go directly underneath. It's actually going one to the left. Okay. So if we look here, that's the regular hole right underneath. Our red one's going to go just to the left of that. Okay. So that's going to go right in there like that. And this is going to help to start creating that little swirl pattern that we have. Okay. And then we have our purple. And again, we went in the right direction. We went clockwise, so we're going to keep going in that direction. And then we're going to put our blue in. So you're using the same exact color pattern, because then everything's going to fall where it needs to fall. And then we're going to put our green. See how easy this is, guys? I picked an easy one today. It's been a rough week. All right, we got our yellow. So as you can see, everything is like off center just a little bit from the one above it there. And we have our orange. Yes, perfect for Pride Month. Very colorful. Also, it would be great. I could see this too, like on a classroom door to learn like the primary colors and stuff. I could see it there too. So many, many uses. We are back to red. I'm just going to turn it back to where we started. This way you can kind of see. All right, we're going to take all of our zip ties off. All right, so now we're on to row 4. Row 4, like I said, we're using every set of holes this time, okay? And again, we're going to be off-centered a little bit to the left because that's giving us our swirl pattern. So we're going to be starting, I always start at the top, so it's just wherever you started, just turn it back up and start at the top. It's just easier. So we're going to put our red one in. So that's actually starting in a regular hole, just so that you know. That is in a regular set of holes. Okay. I'm just going to pull that. And I'm going to just kind of clip these as we go so you can kind of see it. Okay. And then we have our purple, which is actually going into the shared holes. And then we have our navy blue. And again, that's in a regular hole. And then we have our green. And then we have our yellow. Yes, it is very vibrant. So when it's out in the natural light too, it looks so pretty. I did one of these for a friend last year, and she put it on her door and sent me a picture. It looks so pretty. It's just simple, but it's just, you said, it's just vibrant and makes you want to smile. And you can start to kind of see that little swirl there. Back to red again. And you can label your board too. I do that a lot of times. So like you can label what colors go where before you start. So then you're not guessing, okay, what color is this? What am I supposed to do next? And that helps you too. I usually will print out a template of Lori's board, and I usually will kind of plot out my designs on that. And then I keep them. So if I want to do them again, it's just easy to know what I did. Got the blue going here. And then we've got the green. And we're actually almost done with the petals, and then we're going to just start the middle part. Back to yellow. And got orange. These off. And just a couple more. We got red. And we got purple. And you'll have I have my blue. So that's basically the design. So if we turn it back this way, minus the green one that I forgot here. that's your design. So now we're going to work on the centerpiece. So I'm just going to move this stuff aside and show you how I did the middle part. So for the middle, okay, this is what it's going to look like once we're done with it. But for the middle, you're going to take a piece of styrofoam. This is like a 4-inch or 4.5-inch flat one. I posted a link to, Lori has the dome one on her site. So you could use, you know, the half round, whichever you prefer. I just had these, so that's what I had used. So what I do is we're going to be wrapping the rope around this. Okay. So she has the rope on her site as well. So all your supplies that you really should need for this are all on Lori's site. Okay. And all the links should be in the description when I put them in there. So what I'm going to do to start this is just poke a hole in the center. And you could use a pen, a screwdriver, whichever. And I just kind of make it a little bit bigger because we want the rope to fit through there. Okay. That should be good. And this is where you're going to want a hot glue gun and a little bit of E6000 if you have it, whichever you prefer to use. So you are going to take your rope. Okay. You will probably need 2 packets of the ropes to do these. Okay. You're going to take your rope and feed it down into the hole. Okay. So that it comes out the bottom. Okay. Just like that. See it come out. And then what you're going to do is I like to use, I kind of cut it so that that tape comes off so that I can flatten the rope a little bit better. And I like to take a piece of felt, and when I glue it, I'm going to glue that felt over top of the rope. So I'm going to take some hot glue and just kind of put it underneath where the rope is here and just all kind of around it. And then I'm going to take my square that I did, and I'm just going to kind of put that right on there and just watch your fingers. And then I usually just kind of take it and flatten it down on my table. Okay. I just find that the felt makes it stick nice and good. Okay. And then this part doesn't take too long. You just have to watch your fingers with the hot glue. Okay. But you're going to put a little bit of hot glue down in the middle where your rope is, just a little bit. Okay. And you're going to start it so you're just kind of like winding it around each other a little bit, right around itself, like that. Okay, so you're going to have like a little flat nub there in the middle. And then what we're basically going to be doing is we're going to be adding hot glue around each segment, and we're going to be wrapping the rope around. Now I've learned, don't put your hot glue too close to the rope, because then when you bring the rope together and squeeze it, your hot glue ends up popping out the top. Okay, so I just kind of put it a little bit away from the rope on the styrofoam, and then I kind of drag the rope in. So by doing that, I'm not getting the glue that's popping up through. Okay, because sometimes that can be hard to get off. And then basically just kind of give it a little push down. So while you're holding that part with your other fingers, again, just add a little bit of hot glue around, and then you're just basically dragging the rope in right around it. And again, just give it a little push, and you're just going to keep doing this. We're going to go all the way around. And this doesn't take long to do. So we keep following our pattern. Here we go. I'm just going to keep going around. And you can see now we're kind of starting to get to where the edge is going to be, but we're just going to keep following the pattern, doing the same exact thing we were doing. Just kind of give it a little push as you go there. Now we're kind of on the side. You can see it here. So now see, we're coming on the side of it. And we're just doing the same exact thing. You're just bringing that glue a little bit to the outside, and you're just kind of doing a little drag and placing that rope on there. Now we're going to run out, but don't panic, because we're just going to be adding some more from the second set of rope that we'll use. You don't really need much of the second one, so you'll have stuff left over so that, you know, you'll be able to use it for other things. And again, I just like to take the tape off. So I just cut that little end where the tape is, and then just push that piece down. So what we're going to do is when we connect our next piece, we're connecting exactly where we left off. And you really will not even notice it, okay? So again, I just want to make sure I'm going to cut that little tape part off. You don't have to. It's just a me thing, but it just looks better, I think. Okay, so you have your rope, and you're just basically going right up against the one that we just finished with, just like that. And like I said, when you see it, you won't even know that that's where it left off. So what you're going to do is just cut it off. Leave yourself a little bit of room, because then you can just kind of glue it right to the bottom here. So you put a little glue on the bottom and then just push that down. Okay. And that is it. Like I said, easy peasy. Okay, a little bit of patience, but that's what it's going to look like. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put our mount on here. So right where we put the felt, we're going to be taking a cable mount. Okay, so again, Lori has these as well. I take the sticker part off of it. Okay, I think she sells them now without the sticker part. But if you get the ones with the stickers on them, just take that off. So it'll be just a plastic piece. And then what you're going to do is just take a pipe cleaner, any color, doesn't matter. And you're going to run it through the two holes and just give it a little twist. Okay. So here now is where I use the E6000, because I did find it was on the metal signs, but now I'm like nervous when I do all my projects. The hot glue melted in the sun, and actually the sign fell off. And luckily it was just for my aunt, so I was okay. I was like, all right, give it back to me. I'm going to fix it. So now I do a couple things. I have found it's a 3M tape that somebody was talking about, and they use it for I think it's something with detailing with cars or something. Okay. And it's a double-sided tape, but it's supposed to like hold up really good in the elements, because it goes on cars. So I tend to take a piece of this. Okay. It's hard to get that part off, but I stick it on the bottom of my mount. Okay, then I take a little bit of E6000 and I put it right in the center of where I want to put it. Okay, because this takes a little bit to set. So, you know, you can do your centerpiece part first and then do, you know, your other stuff. So then what I do is I take this and I stick it right to where that felt is. Okay. Right, like that. And I actually add a little bit of hot glue just around the edges, just to kind of hold it in place while that E6000 is setting. Okay, because that'll take a little bit. We will take our board. All right. So we have our hanger. Okay, our hanger is up here, and we just put a zip tie in there. And I'm just going to cut it. All right. So this is where we're going to put those 2 center holes. We're just basically going to be feeding these 2 pipe cleaners right down those center holes. Okay, so take one side of each pipe cleaner, and you're going to put those down into the holes. And then you're just going to kind of pull that through. Okay, so that's going to set in the center just like that. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. And then what you're going to do is just tighten your pipe cleaners. And then you can clip these. And then you can tuck them right back into one of the holes. And then you'll have a nice smooth finish on the back here. Okay. Don't mind this. This is my one green one I have to add after. Okay. So this is what we have. Right now you can have some fun with it. So I have some butterflies I found. So I was thinking I could do like a purple, a pink, and then a blue butterfly. They do have little wires on them. Okay, so you can kind of stick them through. But I would probably add, like once you have it where you want it, I would probably add just like a little bit of glue to the bottom here as well. Okay, so let's see. So we're just going to kind of see if we can stick this through here. Yep, perfect. So it just sticks right into the nautical rope there. You just got to kind of give it a little wiggle. Okay. And then you can kind of put them however you want them. Just kind of put them where they're kind of coming up, kind of flying around. And we could do something like that. And just like that. So you can, like I said, you can add butterflies, you can add like little flowers, you know, whatever you want to add to the middle there just to kind of brighten it up a little bit. But yeah, so that's basically it. That's our rainbow sunflower. Thank you guys for joining me, and I hope to see you all again soon. Have a great day.